Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. We've got a lot of news to get into today, and unfortunately, not all of it good news here to break down some unfortunate injuries and things like that to discuss. But we do appreciate you being here. If you're on the YouTube channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on those notifications. And of course, follow us over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts as well. We're going to talk some big changes here that could take place in both conferences in terms of players being out that could completely shift what the playoffs are looking like. So a lot to get into today. Keith, I love having shows where we've got a lot like earth-shattering stuff to talk about, stuff that could change the shape of the NBA playoffs. I just wish it was positive stuff that we could get what we had today. And unfortunately, we don't.
Yeah, we need more Joel Embiid is back stories,
Yes.
and less player X that's a key player is out for a playoff team, because those ones just stink. It's every team would tell you we'd rather have an injury in October than an injury in April. Or I guess we are in April. So they just don't want that, because at the bare minimum, we've got about a week and a half to figure it out and adjust and do whatever we're going to do now that we know with some of these injuries, but might as well get into them because there's some big ones.
All right, let's start here. We're going to talk, three top players here, but we'll start with Julius Randle. Now out for the season for the Knicks, going to have surgery on that shoulder. There was hope that he could maybe come back, and it just kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And now here we are. Julius Randle is done. The Knicks right now with the Orlando winning 3 in a row, the Knicks have lost 3 in a row. The Knicks have slipped to the 5 seed in the Eastern Conference, Keith, and now no Julius Randle coming back. I'm so disappointed. I've been so high on this Knicks team. I've been so impressed with the way they play when they've got everybody healthy and what their ceiling is, what their potential is. And this is just a gut punch. No Julius Randle. Now they got to really hope that OG Anunoby can come back as well, because Keith, if they don't get OG back, like they're not going to go as far as we would have hoped they would go this season. But if they don't get OG back, I think they're dead in the water for the playoffs.
Yeah, they don't have him. I think they lose in the first round almost no matter who they play. I respect what they've done without those two guys. Jaylen Brunson has had an outstanding season. Mm-hmm. I think, though, what now you are seeing is teams are kind of taking the approach of, hey, there, let Brunson get his, lock up on everybody else, and we're probably going to win. And I also worry with Jaylen Brunson, is he going to hold up? Because their best on-ball creators are him and Julius Randle by a wide margin. Mm-hmm. Now Randle's gone, so that falls to Brunson. The next two guys that are really on-ball creators are Bogdanovich, then McBride, because Alec Burks isn't playing. Shake Milton, Alec Burks plays, but he doesn't play a lot. Shake Milton doesn't really play ever. So you're falling into a spot where Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, very good players. That's just not what they do. They don't do a lot of off-ball or on-ball stuff. They're more off-ball players. Hart makes the energy plays. He's a great cutter. DiVincenzo's obviously a great shooter. Finds his way into spaces all over the court. So, yeah, they got to get these guys, or get this guy, I guess, within Anunoby, because at least he gives you another defender and another guy who can do at least a little bit offensively to help you. I got to wonder if they're going to have to, over this next week, they've got 7 games left, really ramp up Bogdanovich and say, hey, we need way more out of you. Now, will Tibbs go there? That's a whole other question. We'll see. But I think that's your best chance now moving forward, is get Bogdanovich ramped up, because if they play Miami or Orlando in the first round somehow, and I know people are probably like, what do you mean Miami? Well, Miami's only 2 games behind. So that's there. Maybe Cleveland to some extent. You know what it's going to be. So let's turn it into a 1990s 95-90 rock fight game. Like let's really make this ugly, because that's the only real chance they have to win these games.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it's going to become. Somebody cue Jeff Van Gundy. Let's get him into the mix here. But that's what's going to happen. Now, when I look at this Eastern Conference now, the Knicks sitting in the 5 seed. Orlando's won 3 in a row. Keith, Orlando might end up the 3 seed. They're only 2 games back of the 2 seed right now.
I'm going to go. That's it. I'm going to go there. They might be the 2 seed, because the Bucks can't. can't get out of their way. They lost to the Wizards and the Grizzlies
How did they do
back to
that?
back.
Like, how
Like,
did that even happen?
well, if you ask Doc Rivers, it's everybody but him and the players. It's the bus drivers and the airplane
No.
pilots and the equipment managers and all kind of like I don't know. I don't want to spend any time on that. That's too much. But yeah, they can't get out of their own way. And it's kind of funny because if the Knicks were healthy, I think the Knicks would have zoomed into this 2 seed and been sitting here as we would have been talking about, all right, we're going to get Celtics Knicks in the East Finals. Like, what is this going to look like? And it's, and I'll just say it here to get it out of the way. We're going to talk another injury here, but Boston's clinched everything that they could clinch now. So there's no reason for them to really play anybody. So anybody who's like, well, they still have the Celtics left on the schedule. Yeah, you get the Celtics. Because even if they're playing their main guys, it might be for half. It might be two of them at a time, maybe 3. Like, we'll see. They're just not. They've nothing. There's nothing left to play for in the regular season for them because with their win last night, that's it. They've got home court advantage for however long they're in the postseason. So it's this is with this Randle one though is huge. I'll say this too. Because when I said it on Twitter of like, what a blow to the Knicks. And I did get some pushback of people like, he stinks in the playoffs. Yes, but you still need somebody who can help Brunson create something. And he's better than the nothing that they're going to get out of not having him. So it's just really, really tough. I don't know. And I'm starting to feel like Josh Hart is right. If we see Anunoby, great. But we got to plan for what we are, and this is what it is right now.
Yeah, I think to me, Julius Randle, him participating, him being available, doesn't mean the Knicks are some unstoppable juggernaut. But you're not going to become that without Randle. It's not a guarantee that he's going to play and play well and get you where you need to go, but you're not hitting your ceiling without him. I think that's the difference. You're not hitting your ceiling without Julius Randle. He's too talented of a player. Is he at his best all the time? No. And there's some games where you're frustrated with the lack of efficiency and all that, but you're not hitting your ceiling without Julius Randle. So now you're hoping OG Anunoby can come back. Otherwise, I think the Knicks will be, probably a quick out here. Cleveland is 4-6. I mean, we may really be looking at I still think two games is a lot right now with 4 or 5 games left in the season, 6 games left in the season for some teams. That's still a lot to try to cover. And I don't know who has the tiebreaker between Orlando and Milwaukee. That may matter, as well as whether or not those two teams play again.
Yeah, I'll look that up. I'll find out.
But we could really be looking at Orlando in the 2 seed. And I think that the 3 seed is definitely not out of the question. I mean, they're half a game back of the Cavs. And the Cavs are still on their road trip here. They've got my Lakers tomorrow. This could very well wind up being Orlando in the 3 seed, which we wouldn't have guessed even a week ago.
Yeah, absolutely not. And to your question, it's 1-1, and they have 2 games left against each other, Bucks and Magic.
Oh no!
So, including the last day of the regular season.
Let's go.
Which could be a sneaky big game. So,
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, in the fun thing is when you get into 2 teams playing each other, where this is so tight. If Milwaukee wins another game or 2, they can kind of remove the doubt and they'll be the 2 seed. But if this tightens up, that could be one of those where it's not as simple as saying, well, if we lose, we're going to draw Team X in the first round. So we don't really care. 2, 3 doesn't really matter to us. But it could be, if it's so tight, it could be, well, you lose and you're the 5th seed or something like that.
Right.
And that's where it gets messy. We've seen that in the NBA come down to that last day of the season before, where it's been, hey, you lost and you dropped 3 or 4 spots in the stand, not 4, but like 2 or 3 spots in the standings. And that can be, a whole motivating factor in and of itself, where it's like, all right, maybe we don't necessarily care, but let's not make our path harder than it needs to be. So yeah, we didn't talk about the East, so let's do it now.
Yeah.
Celtics done. They are what they are. Bucks we just talked about a little bit. That's still a fight. We still have a fight for that 6-7. Like, I don't think the Pacers are going to get up to the 5 line. I think they're too far behind from that. They're 3 back in the loss column. So I don't think that's going to happen. But I think Pacers Heat, that's still a battle. Sixers are right there. Embiid's back now. We'll see. I'm kind of curious to see if he plays tonight on a back-to-back. Like, that's going to be interesting. And then Nets, farewell. Sorry, see you later. They were eliminated yesterday. So we know the 10 teams in the East, and the Bulls and Hawks are in a fight for that 9-10. And I know a lot of people are like, well, who really cares? Well, they probably care because it's a home game.
Their ownership certainly cares.
Yeah,
get at least one more home game, and that's some revenue coming in.
Jerry Reinsdorf cares. Like the Bulls certainly care about getting another home game. So still quite a bit to be decided, and it is an awesome slate of games tonight. Every single game. There's only 5 games, but all 5 of them mean something. It's Sixers Heat. That's a huge game. Hawks Mavericks. Bigger for the Mavs, but still kind of big for the Hawks. Kings Knicks. That's a big one. Warriors Rockets. Like that, kind of the Warriors can end the Rockets tonight if they win for all intents and purposes. And then Nuggets Clippers in the late game. So this is a fun slate of games tonight where it'll be good to kind of dial in on the one you like, but you'll be hopping around League Pass, able to really watch and see what it looks like across the league.
Keith, I was just looking at this. I'm thinking Orlando kind of controls their own destiny here.
A little bit.
Because, right? I mean, I suppose not. I'm assuming they don't play Cleveland again. But so
let's see.
So
I'll run through because it's only 6 games. They have at Hornets, versus Bulls, at Rockets, at Bucks, at 76ers, versus Bucks.
Okay. So if that's the case, I mean, the Cavs have played another game, so it could come down to a tiebreaker there. I'm thinking if Orlando, in terms of Orlando against Milwaukee, right now, if Orlando, let's say they win out, right? They win the remaining games, you beat the Bucks twice, you will then have the tiebreaker over the Bucks, and you'll wind up tied with them at worst in the standings.
And the Magic and Cavs are tied 2-2, so it'll come down to conference record, which the Magic have right now.
So Orlando controls their own destiny to get to the 2 seed.
Kinda. Yep. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
One of my best friends is a insane Magic homer. For example, when the Pistons were on their run, running through the East those couple years, they played the Magic. It felt like Pistons Magic was always the first round matchup. He was each one. He's like, Magic are going to beat them. And I'm like, dude, they're 100-point underdogs. It's not going to happen. And he was like, nope, they're going to get them. This team's ready for a run. He didn't even think this Magic team was going to be this good this year. He was confident. He's like, maybe we'll be a playing team. I'd be excited. And here we are talking about on April 4th, talking about them maybe being the 2 seed. What an incredible step forward here for the Magic.
Wow. That's fantastic stuff from them. And man, this is going to be an exciting end of the season. We do have obviously more even to get into that could have a major impact on the playoffs. But let's get into this. The Jaylen Brown left hand injury. Is this anything serious? I mean, I would imagine if you're the Celtics, you have nothing left to play for. Just go shut it down, right? I mean, no reason to play right now, right?
Yeah, he says he wants to play. And I tweeted, this is one where Boston maybe needs to save him from himself.
Yes.
And tell him, I don't really care. You're not playing. And if you have to, you hide his jersey, right? We've talked about that in the past with guys where you just don't, you're not going in. It's not happening. He heard it a week ago, I think initially. And all right, I'll beat people to the punch. Yeah, well, who cares? He doesn't have a left hand anyway. Okay. You're real funny. He's been an improved ball handler this year. He's actually finishing with his left far more often than he ever did in the past. So, he I think clearly heard that criticism and really tried to work on it to get better. But I will say he at times last night's game against Thunder looked really bad. He was doing those things where it would be like, all right, I lost, and then you'd see him kind of grabbing at the hand and fiddling with it and all this. It's some kind of strained or sprained ligament is what it sounds like in there. But then in the fourth quarter, he came in after playing kind of 3 garbage quarters, came in and made a bunch of plays to take it from being an 8-point game to a 20-point game. And then Boston just hit an avalanche threes and blew out the Thunder. So I don't know. I mean, clearly you'd rather not be dealing with something. For the
Yeah.
Celtics, because a lot of Celtics fans are saying, sit everybody. Don't play
Yeah.
anyone for the next 6 games. You can't do that because I think people forget the season ends on the 14th. Boston will not play their first playoff game till the 21st because they have to wait for the play-in tournament to finish because they are the 1 seed, which is something I think the NBA needs to figure out. It's
It's a
You're making
disadvantage.
the 1 seed wait an extra. Now, it shouldn't
Yeah.
matter. They should beat whoever they're playing, but
Sure.
whatever. You can't sit guys for 2.5 weeks and then expect them to be ready to go at the start of the playoffs. Yeah, if somebody's hurt, clearly you do. Maybe that's the case with Brown. I think what you're going to see is some games guys don't play. Some games it's only 2 or 3 Celtics are out there of the main guys. Other games it's other people. People have been like, don't they have national TV games? The NBA doesn't care in this case. They've kind of basically said, once you've clinched, like, we get it. We're not going to be, all over teams for sitting players. Plus, they've had a bunch of guys on the injury report for weeks now. So they'll just say, oh, yeah, he's got an ankle sprain. Like, he's not
Yeah.
going to play. He's got back soreness, whatever it is. Then the last thing is, I think you may see them play some games where they kind of played almost like an exhibition game, where it's play the first half and then you don't see them in the second half and stuff like that. So you just can't full on shut everybody down and bubble wrap them because they'll just be too rusty when you start the playoffs. And then you lose game 1 as the 1 seed. And I imagine the panic that would ensue at that point if that happens.
No, everyone would remain totally calm and rational, Keith.
Yeah,
we know that. We know that. All right, let's talk about the West a little bit. Zion Williamson injures his finger, and suddenly, Keith, I've been telling people for the last couple of weeks, like, I don't see the Pelicans falling that far. They were playing pretty well. I'm like, I think they're pretty safe. Now, suddenly that's changed. Suddenly the Pelicans they're kind of in a free fall right now. And this is now a team to definitely keep an eye on in the West. Now they're in the 7th seed. They've lost the last 3 in the West. That's kind of, unless you're already locked into a playoff spot right now, that's kind of death in the Western Conference because way too many teams are winning right now. So the Pelicans already missing Brandon Ingram due to that knee hyperextension he had, a week and a half ago or so. And now Zion Williamson injures his finger, can't finish the game last night against the aforementioned Orlando Magic. They dropped that game. The Pelicans could be in some real trouble here, Keith.
Yeah, without a doubt. And really good timing here. Christian Clark, who covers them for NewOrleans.com, says, Willie Green, there's nothing structurally wrong with Zion Williamson's finger.
Right.
He's day-to-day. So good, about as good of an update as you're going to get.
Yeah, that was literally 6 minutes ago. So good timing there. Good that there's nothing structurally wrong.
Yeah.
But then what happened?
Yeah, he hit it twice early in the game against the Magic, which the Magic had a big win on the road last night in a game where I don't know what happened, and the referees went crazy at the end and threw a whole bunch of Pelicans out of the game. Like, it just got nuts. It was like Billy Crystal and the Forget Paris.
The ref?
Forget Paris, the one where he's the NBA referee, and
and
he's the best line in there is when he throws Kareem Abdul-Jabbar out, or he gives him a technical, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar goes, "You can't give me a technical. It's my farewell game." And he goes, "Let me be the first to say farewell," and he throws him out of the game. It's an unbelievable funny. It's actually a pretty funny movie. They did so that like marred like a really good win for the Magic just because it got all wonky at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But he twice early in the game, you could see it was like in the first quarter, like one was, I think he was swiping down on the ball, and I don't know if he caught it or hit it on like a player's arm or elbow or something. And then the one where he really hurt it was he went up and he blocked a shot by Jalen Suggs, and on the follow through, he hit the backboard. And you could see he kind of blocked it. The Pelicans get the ball, and then he came, like he turned and ran down. You could kind of see him doing one of these, like shaking his hand out.
Mm-hmm.
And then he stayed in for a little bit and then didn't come back in later in the game. So it was but thankfully it sounds like it's no big deal because they need him. And anybody who hasn't maybe been watching or paying attention to the Pelicans, he has been playing unbelievable recently. Like, this is the best basketball he's ever played for a considerable stretch of time.
Yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic. Again, they have now dropped that 7 seed. They're in a battle. The Phoenix Suns have been playing insanely well. They've moved up to the 6 seed right now. The Mavs are in the 5. I mean, they're in a struggle here. You've got the Kings are just half a game behind. Who the Kings won 2 in a row despite losing Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk. My Lakers are right there too. They're a game and a half back of the Pels. So this is going to be a photo finish in the West. I think the tiebreakers may wind up coming into play. I think we could wind up with some maybe 2 or 3 team ties that we're going to be keeping an eye on. But good news though that Zion's okay, or we hope he's okay.
Yeah, we hope, right? I think we're going to get what the NBA wants with that last Sunday of the season, which is everybody plays at the same time in the afternoon, because I think it is, let's just lock in, dial in, and watch. Because I think I said it yesterday. I'm ready to again kind of count the Rockets out. Making up 3 games is a lot, with only 7 games left. So I think we know, just like in the East, we kind of know our 10 teams, but we don't know the order at all. And I don't know that we will a week from now when we're headed into those last couple days of the season either. I think we really are going to get down to like, all right, let's go. Here it is, this last day. There's a whole bunch at stake, and that'll be a blast. It'll be kind of, we don't get that often in the NBA where it'll be, we're kind of watching a bunch. I hope they do a bunch of split screens where it's like, all right, we got to go check in on this one, because that's just fun, just because we don't generally get it in the NBA like we do in the NFL, or like in the last day of the Premier League or anything like that.
Sure. Oh, I like it in soccer where you've got up near the, if these results hold, and it shows you everything. As a team scores a goal and they adjust it.
Yeah.
What's that?
And I wanted that during the in-season tournament. And I get it. It's harder because in soccer, you're not getting a score every minute.
Exactly.
So it's much easier to adjust. But I was like, we need something like this, because remember, it was like, why is this team? They need to get the point differential. Like, they're pushing for it in that. But last day, we're really kind of looking at wins. So I would hope it would be easy to say, all right, Suns are ahead, so push the Suns into the 6th seed and push this team down. And the Kings took the lead. Now they're the 6th seed or whatever it is. So, and that we run through it very, very quickly. Yeah. Here's your matchups on that last day.
That's what I just pulled up. We're on the same wavelength here. I'm going to put them up on the screen right now.
Okay, perfect. Because they're good. Like they're fun ones. Scroll it so we can see just there we go. Perfect. Because the East is, there's some fun ones in the East, but the good ones are in the West. You have Denver, Memphis, or whatever. Phoenix, Minnesota. That's huge for both teams, probably.
Yeah.
Lakers, Pelicans, that could be
spicy,
massive. Thunder, Mavs could be big. Spurs, Pistons doesn't matter for anybody. But Warriors, Jazz, probably not so good. Lakers, Rockets, and we'll see. Kings, Trailblazers. But you've got those teams like Trailblazers, maybe the Rockets, maybe the Jazz.
Orlando, Milwaukee.
For a bunch of those guys, it's going to be, hey, last chance here to put something on tape, and you could kind of really wreck a team season. Go out there and give it everything you have, because you don't have another game. So sometimes we do get weird stuff. Yeah, and then in the East, we got Orlando, Milwaukee. That's going to be a big one. The rest of them in the East are kind of, they're a little more meh.
New York and Chicago could matter to those two teams.
Good. Yeah, for sure. And you're looking for more upsets, right? Pacers, Hawks could also matter.
That could matter.
Yeah, but some of those West ones that afternoon, those are going to be a blast.
Keith, I can tell you this. I am not going to watch Boston, Washington on the last game, on the last day. Nobody's going to be playing. I'm not watching that one. That's not happening.
Yeah, I feel bad for anyone who has tickets to that game in Boston. I told people yesterday, I said, I did radio in Boston, and I said, rather than buy tickets to the last couple regular season games, save that money and buy tickets to the first one of the couple playoff games. Because you're going to be better served that way. So.
Or buy tickets to a G League game, because that's essentially what you're going to see. If you decide to go that way. But yes, you save your money, go to the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's going to be. Yeah. You're not seeing my guess is if you see Jason Tatum, maybe you can get him to wave to you from the bench in street clothes.
There you go.
In that game.
There you go. All right, we do have a bunch more topics to get in. I don't even know if we'll get through them all today, Keith.
This is like day 2 of things are stacking up.
What was the late night show that had that running bit? I think it was Jimmy Kimmel, where
Yeah,
he always ran out of time for Matt Damon.
for Matt Damon. Yep, at the
Yeah.
end. Yep.
Yep.
He
Yeah.
just
That's
did a podcast where he talked about how they do you remember the Oscars where the whole La La Land and the unfortunate thing is I don't know what won. They
I
announced La
haven't
La Land won,
paid
but La
attention to
La
that.
Land
Oh,
didn't
oh, but they
win
didn't
Best
win. It was a
Picture.
mistake. Okay, I
Yeah, it
remember
was a
that.
mistake. They had a whole bit planned for the end after that was announced where Matt Damon was gonna come on stage and they're like, we can't do this is a mess. Like we gotta like get out there. And he went up there and I think he riffed for like 10 minutes straight. Jimmy Kimmel did just by himself on like telling jokes and like we're trying to figure out what happened here. We don't know and all this stuff. So yeah, I think it was on Bill Simmons' podcast like last month. He talked about what a mess that was.
Huh. I'm somebody who pays no attention to those awards or anything like that, but I do remember that the wrong winner got announced
I
and all
find
that.
out on Twitter.
Yeah,
Like that's how I find out if so. Like when Will Smith slapped Chris
sure.
Rock,
Everybody
like I
saw
didn't
that.
wasn't watching. I
No.
don't clearly people know where my movie watching
Yeah.
trends towards, and none of them are getting nominated for
No.
best anything.
The
Okay,
movies that tend to win awards, I'm like, I have no interest in seeing that.
yeah.
It's just,
I don't
yeah,
want movies that make me think. I have to
yeah,
think too much in other facets of my life. I want to watch people fight and things blow up.
yeah.
That's I'm the equivalent of a 12-year-old boy that's never grown up. I'm fine with that.
Keith, I've had this motto for decades when it comes to movies. There are three categories of movies. There's only three. There's action movies, there's comedy movies, and there's action comedies. And that's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's
That's
fair.
all. That's all that exists in my
Yep.
world.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, it's like no one else with me too. I know we already said we got stuff we're not going to get to, but now we're already off the rails. So, um, I can't do any more 3 and 4 hour long movies. The
No.
idea of even starting one is so daunting to me. I'm not seeing them in the theater because like I I panic if I'm like away from like able
Your
to
phone.
react to anything.
Yep.
So if anything that long, probably not going to happen in the theater unless it's maybe a Marvel movie. Will pull me in on that. But anything else, like I really do want to watch Oppenheimer,
Mhm.
but I'm like, I just every time I even think about it, I'm like, I don't know because then I've asked people like don't like watch it and get up and go come back to it like the next day or anything. It's not going to be the same, and I'm just like, then I'm probably just not going to watch it. I'll
Right.
throw it on in August, and then I probably will not even end up watching it. Just
It,
it intimidates me.
it's a long time to like sit and just focus on one thing, which maybe is a sign of where things are at in this day and age. But
Yeah,
I had last night, I had my daughter's play for school, and we get there, and it happened to coincide exactly with the Lakers game, the exact same start time. So that meant I had Sean Davis and Jeff Spiegel covering the show for me, and look, they're great. I have full confidence in them, but I'm a warrior the whole time. Like I'm going to be sitting there going, okay, are they okay? Is everything all right? Did the show start up okay? Is everything running okay with all the chat and features and all that kind of stuff, right? Like I have a hard time just disconnecting from all that.
yeah.
We get there, we sit down in our seats, and I look at my phone in the upper corner, it's that little SOS. I'm like, oh no. Oh no. I have zero, not even on LTE, zero
uh,
service.
you know,
And it's a kid's play. Like I can't, I gotta be there. I gotta be focused. I gotta, smile and wave and all that kind of stuff. And so I was forced to like lock it and just pray that, and of course everything went fine. It was actually probably good for me that my phone didn't work, but I felt the same thing, Keith. I was like, how long is this play? Is this gonna how? Because I'm not gonna know if anything doesn't work right or if the game's not going well or whatever. I'm not gonna know anything until this thing ends and I can get out of this room and have my phone work again. It was stressful.
yeah. There is it's piece of advice that I got from more than multiple people, or like when it comes to family, none of
Yeah,
this stuff really matters.
exactly.
Like if you're an hour late reacting, guess what? You've had an hour to think about something that everybody else reacted to in the moment. And I try to keep that in mind. But yeah, it still doesn't keep me from being like,
No.
and I'm probably super annoying in the movie theater. I try to go to like a daytime showing when there's not going to be a lot of people there. Because if the phone buzzes, like I look, like
Yeah.
I pull it out and I'll look at to see what it is. Now I have it on dark mode and I have it silenced, obviously, and I would never take a call and I only glance at it to see what it is. But that's why super long movies though, even here at home, I'm like, I don't know. And I realize I'm missing out on a whole bunch of really good stuff, but it's just that's where I'm at.
It's the path we chose here.
That's
the
it.
path we chose. And yes, as soon as my daughter got up and started singing, I was okay. I was locked in. I'm
you
good.
gotta be locked in.
I have to tell people too. Like people will they see me check my watch all the time and they're like, "Do you need to be somewhere?" "Oh, no. And then I have to explain what I do. Like I get notifications all day and you never know when Kevin Durant's getting traded to the Suns or something like that. So
well, that's at 2 a.m. So
yes,
we
that's
do
at 2
know
a.m.
that.
Okay, let's actually we'll get back to,
all right,
to basketball talk. Let's get to this. Malachi Flynn. 50 points from Malachi Flynn. What happened? Where did this come from, Keith?
I was clearly not paying a lot of attention to that game. And then I think I had refreshed the score page on ESPN. And you know how when you go to the scores on ESPN, when a game's live, it shows you one player from each team's that's like having like whatever their algorithm says is the best stat line so far. And I was like, wait, did that just say Malachi Flynn has like 40 points?
Right.
And then I was like, what the hell? So then I immediately flipped the channel over, went to the Pistons game, and I hear them being like, Malachi Flynn's had the game of his life. I think at that point he was up to like 45. And I was like, what is happening here? So like I went back and watched it this morning. The 2 games I watched were Malachi Flynn, and because I'm a disgusting individual Hornets Trailblazers, I was like, I gotta see this Malachi Flynn game. Like, what happened? He only had 5 3-pointers in a 50-point game for a small guard.
So
he
just blew up from 3 all game.
Just repeatedly got to his spots and scored like all game long. There was literally nothing that the Hawks could do to stop him. And by the end of the game, they were like throwing like junk gimmick defenses at him and all kinds of stuff. It was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it from a more unexpected player. Just teardrop floaters all the way to the basket, hit a few mid-ranges, like I said, hit a few 3-pointers. Just unbelievable.
And he came off the bench.
Came off the bench. 3rd player ever to score 50 off the bench. Do you know who the other 2 were?
Tony Delk and Corey Brewer.
Nope. Both of those guys started their games, actually.
Because those are the 2 guys. One of my questions for you was going to be, is this more unexpected than Tony Delk and Corey Brewer having 50 as well?
So there's 2 parts to this. So first is the off the bench part. Jamal Crawford. Okay. The other one was Nick Anderson for the Magic in his rookie year, second year, was early on in his Magic run here in Orlando that he had a 50 spot.
Wow.
The other part that is to your thing, is this the most unexpected? I think this came from ESPN. I apologize if it was from somewhere else. He has the lowest career scoring average of any player to have had a 50-point game. 5.2 points per game was his scoring average coming into this game. And he dropped 50. So, yeah, I think we witnessed the most unlikely 50-point game in NBA history last night.
And to give you an idea, Malachi Flynn has played for 3 different teams this season. He's played for the Raptors, the Knicks, and now Detroit.
He's played because he barely plays. Even in Detroit right now, he's only playing because other guys are out. Yeah,
he's averaging 13 minutes a game for Detroit, averaged 4.3 minutes per game for the Knicks, averaged 15 minutes for the Raptors.
And those minutes are inflated because he plays so few games. And it's like, oh, he plays when everybody else is out and he plays 25, 30 minutes. But yeah.
So what does this mean for him this summer? Because I mean, obviously this is going to get a lot of attention and everything. Do you think there's teams out there going, maybe we missed something here?
100% this is going to cause every team to go back and say, all right, how? Like, is this clearly it's not repeatable, but are there elements of this that are repeatable? Because he also had like 6 rebounds and 5 assists or something like that in the game too. So you're going to have teams that are going to look at it. He is a restricted free agent. Pistons widely, they're not going to even probably give him a qualifying offer because the Pistons are going to go the cap space route almost definitely this summer.
Might they now?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I wouldn't. I mean, you just can't get swayed by the one game. But what it will do is maybe a team that is, hey, we were kind of looking for a point guard and maybe someone who could do something. Scoring 50 points, I feel very confident saying he will never touch this again. He'll probably never have another 40-point game, probably not even a 30-point game again in his career. But what this does is once you've done it, somebody's always going to be like, well, he did it once. And somebody will get him. He was on the trajectory, even though he's a little bit of an older guy now in his 4th year, where he was probably going to have to go to Summer League and play in Summer League just because he's not playing. He's not a short of a roster spot anywhere. Now maybe, hey, man, we'll bring you in on a partial, maybe even a fully guaranteed contract to be in our backup mix at the point guard spot. So good for him. This is what we talk about with younger players, even fringe guys. When you get your opportunity, make the most of it. And Malachi Flynn certainly did.
Yeah, he absolutely did. And this is going to get him a lot of attention, and hopefully it leads to a little bit more stability this summer for him, for a guy who's bounced around a little bit, especially this season. He was with Toronto for a few seasons, but hopefully this gets him a bit more stability and gets him another opportunity this summer, because again, this is right now teams around the league are having this discussion, are whether it's in their Slack channel or whether it's in person or wherever, they're going, did you guys see what Malachi Flynn did? Right? Like that conversation is happening everywhere today.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, everybody is talking about that all over the place. And like I said, people are going to be looking at it as like, all right, what within this is repeatable and something that can be drawn out as, even if he's not scoring that way again, at any point in his career. Like that there's definitely going to be elements of that.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the Bulls make a move. They signed Javonte Green for the rest of the season.
So he'll come Terry in. Taylor to do so. People just dead little educational component. Javonte Green was on a hardship exception, so the Bulls had an extra player because they've got a bunch of guys: Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, Patrick Williams, and somebody else. Who am I forgetting? Julian Phillips are all out with injuries, long-term injuries. So they had a hardship, but a player in a hardship is not eligible to play in the postseason. So in order to have Javonte Green on the postseason roster, they had to waive somebody. They ultimately chose to waive Terry Taylor. Javonte Green's 10-day had ended, so now that's how they're going to get there. So just because I know there was some stuff of like, well, why didn't they just keep him on a hardship and keep Terry Taylor? Well, that's why they needed to fill the spot.
All right, so there's a move that's made, and we talked about this a little bit before we came on the show, that you've got a lot of teams that are starting to kind of make these moves to solidify their final roster spots. Luka Garza, who the Wolves have actually kind of needed a little bit lately, converted to a standard deal. They had a period there where Naz Reid, Towns, Gobert, they were all out. So Luka Garza got some opportunities, but he gets converted to a standard deal, and that way he is going to be playoff eligible for Minnesota.
Yeah, and just to your point, that what we were talking about before is nobody really likes to go into the playoffs with an open roster spot because you'd rather fill it just in case, right? Just in case. Now you've got Luka Garza, could maybe give you 5-10 minutes if you really need him to at the center spot. If Gobert and Reed are down and for some reason they can't play, you could throw him in there if Towns isn't back and you just run. So a couple other playoff teams with open roster spots right now. Boston has one. I kind of think they'll probably convert into Maeskata, and I think that's where that will go. Philly actually has 2 open roster spots right now. So we'll see what they do with theirs. New Orleans has one. Golden State has one. Now with Golden State, we know that's going to cost you a lot of money to fill that open roster spot. But they have one as well. So those are the open roster spots right now on playoff teams, or at least postseason teams. Let's say it that way. So we'll see if any of those get filled.
All right. The San Antonio Spurs will be without Devin Vassell and Jeremy Sohan for the remainder of the season. as always, this is the time of year where a stub toe could be a season ender because that's kind of where we're at. Um, Good players. I think the whole point Sohan thing is not. The Spurs are going to find a point guard this summer.
Yeah.
Devin Vassell is a guy that I like a lot, but the future's bright in San Antonio. A lot of it is thanks to, of course, Victor Wembanyama, but we'll see what they do this summer, the moves that they're going to make. But right now, if you're a Spurs fan, you just want to fast forward to the end of June if you can, because that's what's really going to matter for this team.
Yeah, what was our draft pick? What did we probably?
Exactly.
I'll even say like a week into July. Like, what did we do
Sure.
in
Free
free
agency.
agency and the draft and all that stuff? Yeah, because you're like, if I'm a Spurs fan, I'm like, hey, guys, get healthy because I don't doesn't care. Who cares if we win another game this year? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just get healthy and let's build two important players for them certainly moving forward. So far more important that you don't let a small injury that could just heal up become a big thing. Just get healthy now.
All right. Rudy Fernandez has retired, which makes me feel. I remember talking about Rudy Fernandez as a draft prospect way back in or as a guy that was going to be coming over, and so now he's already retired. This is very much in the lines of, why am I blanking? Ricky Rubio.
Yeah.
In the how is Ricky Rubio already, like, it felt like it was yesterday. Ricky Rubio was a rookie, and now here we are, or he was like the next big thing coming over, and now here we are. Now here's Rudy Fernandez retiring.
Rudy Fernandez, 39 years old. Today, happy birthday, Rudy Fernandez.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Today. Do you know when he last played in the NBA?
Gosh, I'm guessing it was like something like 8 years ago or something like that.
2012.
I've been doing this so long.
It's been that long, but yeah, this was a guy we heard about for years.
Yeah,
and then he get drafted in 2007 was when he was drafted ultimately by the Phoenix Suns, and the Suns traded his draft rights to Portland. And then he didn't come over for another whole year till 2008, 2009. So he waited one more year, and then went back after 2012. He's been playing for Real Madrid since then, over there in Spain, and played a lot. Played big time player in the Spanish national team for years. That group with the Gasols and Ricky Rubio and a bunch of other guys that were really good. Juan Carlos Navarro was in that group. Just all these guys who were probably, like, I want to say it was like their golden generation. They had something that they tabbed that group as, like, this is our best group, and they certainly lived up to it. They gave Team USA run for their money in the Olympics, and they had a ton of success in Eurobasket and in the World Cup as well. So great career for Rudy Fernandez.
Yeah, absolutely. The somehow 39-year-old Rudy Fernandez. Vince Carter, Chauncey Billups, and Jerry West, once again, into the Hall of Fame. Yeah, 3-time Hall of Fame for Jerry West. But that was announced, obviously very deserving. And I'll tell you what, Keith, I don't know if I've ever seen a superstar make the transition to being a role player so selflessly and as well as Vince Carter did in his career. And I know he's got, obviously we think of the highlight reel dunks, but I always remember how much he really took on that kind of mentor role with some younger players and into the latter stages of his career. And even when he couldn't do the things he used to do, became this guy that was like, hey, I just enjoy being around the game. I enjoy doing this. And so that's something I always think of when I think of Vince Carter, the basketball player.
Yeah, Blake Griffin talked about it a little bit last year. It was in one of the players he brought up was Vince Carter, when he was asked, like, how hard is it to be this now? Right? You were the all-star guy. You were the franchise player. Now you're a role player. You don't always play and all this. And he mentioned Vince Carter. He mentioned some other guys too, like Jason Kidd towards the end of his career. He mentioned a whole bunch of players where it's like, hey, if you want to keep going, like, that's really important. Yeah, two great players there. And obviously Jerry West is long since in as a player. I believe this is a contributor, I believe is what he's going into now, something like that. But yeah, I mean, good. So congrats to Jerry West. I guess he gets like 3 Hall of Fame rings now. Does he get 3 jackets too? I don't know. It's just
I would
I don't know
assume.
how that works, but God, no matter what he's going in for, I know it's well deserved because
Sure.
he's certainly earned it. So yeah. Congrats to these guys. It's a huge honor for all of them.
Yeah, the logo.
Yep.
All right, Keith. I think somehow we made it through everything here. Somehow, some way. A lot of stuff, obviously, to talk about. Playoffs coming up, and wow, the standings. We're going to be keeping an eye on them every day because it is going to be a crazy finish. I hope that last Sunday of the season we have absolute chaos where so much is up in the air because that's going to be a blast. It's going to be nervous time, but it's going to be a lot of fun seeing how all of that plays out.
Without a doubt. We'll lead off tomorrow, Front Office Friday, probably
That's
with
right.
a look back at tonight's game, since all these games mean something, and we'll get into it because you really at this point you got to wake up every morning and refresh the standings page and look at it because that's how much everything is changing. Day to day in each conference. It's teams I think we feel pretty good about, but where they're going to be, who knows? Like that's as we talk, that's all over the board. So yeah, I'm super excited for those last like week and a half of the season. Even if me, I start getting a little like we're losing half the week.
with where your team is, yes, especially too.
Yeah, well, it's just I don't know. I love it so much. I love the nights when it's like, oh man, there's 8 games tonight, but I do love the playoffs. So I'm very, very excited for the start of the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, everybody, we do appreciate you for joining the show. Make sure you do hit that subscribe button. Till next time, we'll see you and stay safe.